In July of 1932, Franklin D. Roosevelt accepted the presidential nomination from the Democratic Party. His hopes and promises for the American people were to pull the country out of what was known as the greatest economic crisis in United States history, the Great Depression. Roosevelt had a plan that what was called the New Deal for Americans. It promised relief, recovery, and reform programs to provide assistance to the jobless and the homeless, as well as to improve the conditions of the economy. It all started in October of 1929 when the stock market crashed, causing the country to sink into a nationwide depression. People lost their jobs, their homes, their health, and even some lost their lives. Many people resorted to migrating west in hopes of finding jobs. Families traveled together in groups. Some train hopped, some walked, and some in any way that they could get a ride. By 1933, FDR was in office and initiating the New Deal. Conditions were not good upon his inauguration. The Great Depression impacted millions of Americans, especially those living in the southwestern Great Plains. Disaster struck after the stock market crashed. Not only was the economy in shambles, but weather conditions and poor soil practices in the agricultural industry had a negative impact on the livelihood of the people. The land and its nutrients had become exhausted and destroyed because of this high demand. Extreme drought and harsh winds accumulated and dust covered the lands. This is known as the Dust Bowl. Many lost their farms due to bad weather, and the depression and dirt storms blew across the lands in huge clouds. These factors caused a great migration. People began to pack up their belongings and head west. Banks were failing and closing. Unemployment reached about 14 million, in about 25% of America's population. 1 in every 4 Americans did not have a job. FDR took action. He had banks reopened and promoted government action to help the American people. He had programs started to give people jobs and improve the refinancing of homes. The Federal Emergency Relief Act provided funds to individual states for relief efforts. The Homeowners Refinancing Act helped homeowners who were in danger of losing their homes. The National Industrial Recovery Act established what is now known as the Public Works Administration. This program provided citizens with jobs and improved living conditions by building roads, public buildings, and parks. Several national parks were established during this time by the Public Works Administration. FDR's program stretched all across the country and came just in time. The Farm Security Administration Act called for building of 13 camps that were designed to be self-governing communities. These complexes accommodated 300 families with shelter and tents. Programs and relief efforts such as these helped the American people come out of the Depression, thanks to President Roosevelt.